A little clip from Conor's one-man show, For the Love of Being Irish. This was recorded some years before the Gulf of America was discovered.
Over here about 13 years ago, and we found it quite challenging. We speak English in Ireland, you speak English here, but to a great extent, though, we had to learn a different language. As you were asking us, how are we acclimating? We were trying to acclimatise. The word that really kind of intrigues people, that is a difference between Ireland and the US, is crack. But she said to the cop, we'll have some crack. The cop who was taken aback. But she meant to have fun, so they danced in the sun, had a drink and a pint and a snack. When we came over here, I was asked a number of different questions that kind of show a difference in language and in the way people see language. Very early in my business career over here, one of my colleagues, who was not a saint at all, he said to me, "Conor, you use a lot of profanity." "What's a freaking profanity?" I said. Now, please note that Mr. Cunneen sanitized his response for the sensitivities of Midwestern audiences. But those of you who've been to Ireland will know that the Irish do curse and swear a lot. But no one sees it as a profanity. In fact, a good Irishman in a 4-word sentence can put in 3 F-bombs. Those of you who are looking for instruction can get it after the show. But we don't see those things as profanities. Another question we were asked regularly when we came over was, "Conor, do you have siblings?" And I'm thinking, what kind of disease is siblings? In Ireland, we've got brothers, we've got sisters. No one has siblings. Another question that the difference is that when the Irish say, "How are you doing?" we mean hello. We don't mean, "How are you doing?" So, for instance, when I'm at a party and I say to someone, "How are you doing?" I don't really want the response, "Why, that's so nice of you to ask. Not everyone asks me that question. Hank, you know, it's this lovely Englishman here." Irish. But you're all the same, aren't you? You're owned by England. Hank, this lovely Irishman here, he wants to know how we're doing, and I was just about to tell him about your prostate infection. Yeah, and the fact that it wasn't related at all to the hemorrhoids you had last week. We don't care. US immigration also makes life interesting in terms of language. Not until very recently, and some of you may have experienced this. If you were a non-US citizen, you had to fill in an immigration form. One of the questions was, "Are you or have you ever been a terrorist?" Fact. Another question that we were asked, we became US citizens a few years back. And to become a US citizen, you have to be interviewed by the immigration authorities. So on one day, my wife, Pat, and we went into Chicago to be interviewed by the authorities. And we went into 2 small little offices. I went in this side, Pat went in that side. It was like going to Cannon Fox's confessional again. And I come out after a few minutes, Pat comes out, and Pat says to me, "Do you know what question I was asked?" I said, "I don't know what question you were asked." And she said, "The question the immigration officer asked me was, are you or have you ever been a prostitute?" Like you, I was totally stunned. I said to her, "How could they have known?"